Baldy, as always, joins us on the River Islands guest line. All guests on 95.7 The Game appear on the River Islands guest line. Isn't it time for you to discover the islands, River Islands and Lathrop? We know Baldy doesn't sleep Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday, for crying out loud. He's cranking out tape left and right. It's unbelievable what goes out on this timeline on X/Twitter. But let's get into it, Baldy. Let's get right into it here. Niners lose to the Vikings 23-17. I just thought Minnesota was better. They were out more physical. They executed at a higher level, and really the Niners were lucky the game was even close. This guy from Minnesota, linebacker coming over from the Houston Texans, was making play after play after play. Blake Cashman, number 51, Blake Cashman was everywhere. So what went wrong for the Niners offensively? Let's start right there, Baldy, and good morning to you.
Good morning, Vontae. Well, they moved the ball. They had a decent day, just offensively. But I just think that, they couldn't finish drives. You had the 2 turnovers. You had the 4th down stops. And Brian Flores is different than every other defensive coordinator in this league. There's really nothing else. There's nobody gives you as many different looks as Brian Flores does. Josh Metellus could be a linebacker, could be a free safety. They play so many different fronts, and it does confuse. I mean, they ran the ball good. I mean, obviously Jordan had a good day. Run for 100 yards. You're getting 5 yards a carry. He's a good back, but they just mix things up so much. There's nothing you could say. Okay, here's their 3rd and long defense. This is what they're in. I mean, because they're going to give you blitz zero looks a lot. They're going to drop. They're going to come. They're going to overload. They're very difficult to prepare for. This is 2 years in a row now. They really struggled against this defense.
How did you think Brock Purdy looked? I thought it was a mixed bag. It wasn't his greatest performance. He evaded a lot of pressure. He made some good throws. He also stared some guys down. I don't think it was the worst performance in the world. I don't think it was his best by far. But I thought it was a mixed bag. What did you see, Baldy? What did the film tell you?
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was good. He's always good. I mean, those tough throws in the middle of the field are tough. But I think that I don't know how to describe it, Joe. He wasn't all world, and I think some people just think he's got to be all world. He misses McCaffrey in the passing game for sure. There's no question about that. He's just such a difference maker on really easy throws, but in space where he does so much damage after it. Not to take anything away from Jordan, but I think they do miss him. But he did deliver the knockout shots that for example, that Sam did, from the other side. I mean, the throw to Justin Jefferson and the throw to Naylor at the end. Like, he didn't deliver those type of knockout shots that you want him to be able to do.
Baldy, let's get into that 97 yard.
And I do think, Joe, real quick, Bonte.
Go ahead.
I do think he is kind of staring some receivers down. I think he is locked in on some guys, and he's kind of probably waiting too long for things to open up. And some of that is, okay, Aiyuk wasn't there at all during training camp in the off season, kind of waiting on some things to happen, and you could be found guilty of that sometimes.
No, that's spot on. It's kind of what we've been discussing all morning here, Baldy. Staring down at receivers, being late with the football. Don't think it was his best performance, but you brought up the 97-yard touchdown. And Niners go for it there. Maybe you take the points, but look, I had no problem with Shanahan elected to go for it. Van Ginkel makes a great play, cover zero blitz, free rusher, boom, they get the PBU. But on second down, Darnold climbs in the pocket and throws one of the best deep balls I've seen in recent memory to Justin Jefferson. But we were all befuddled because we saw George Odom on Justin Jefferson playing press man. George Odom is a career special teamer who's playing at free safety. What'd you think about the defensive alignment here? 2 safeties on Justin Jefferson? JJ's going to win that all day, Baldy.
I don't know what they're thinking. Diamador Lenore's on the other side of the field guarding grass. Like, there's nothing over there. There's no work. You got Naylor and Jefferson over here in a stack. Like, sometimes you can, I don't know why you would drop down your backup safety in that situation. Him and Tago, the safety's in the play, and Odom is down there. If you're going to play that stack, at least put Travarius on Justin right there and let Ward take Naylor. At least put your best corner on the best receiver in that situation. And so not only did they get caught with their second corner on the other side of the field, but they got caught with, their third safety on Jefferson like that. And that's, Sam saw that all the way. I think he saw it pre-snap, actually. And, in the biggest play that I've seen the 49ers give up since Shanahan has been there, happened on the play.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. I thought the drive before halftime, after the Niners score, it goes 10-7, and then, Vikings get the ball back, and there's about a minute 53 to go, give or take, and there's a 3rd and 13, and Justin Jefferson somehow is just wide open. And then you follow that up with Sam Darnold scrambling for about 17, 18 yards into no man's land, and it feels like no one's there. That entire sequence was just, it was head scratching. What did you see there schematically or individually from the players that were out on the field?
Well, I mean, they put together that drive, and, Justin Jefferson is wide open. It was an easy throw for Sam, but the 2 runs that Sam had up the middle, it didn't look like. I mean, Fred on that play he's running with Naylor, somebody down the middle of the field. I mean, he's way off out in right field, so he's out of there right there. But nobody's got their eyes on Sam Darnold. I mean, I thought that play just killed him right there. You typically play in that situation like the Eagles did last night. You're playing not to give up the big play. You're trying to keep everything in front of you. And you get these open windows. If the rush doesn't get home, and it didn't, then you get this, these easy throws to make. There's just so much space for a guy like that to work.
We're talking to Brian Baldinger here on the River Islands guest line. I'm glad you brought up the front four. Fred Warner, I thought, just making Hall of Fame type plays, man. The game could have been a blowout had he not get the pick. Could have been 17-0. He forces a fumble at the goal line. Could have been 27-7. I mean, Fred Warner's playing out of his mind right now, so we know that. That's banked in. But up front, I always look at the churches, Baldy, and I love talking churches with you. Is this pass rush getting the job done? Is this front four getting the job done? Because Minnesota, like you mentioned, Sam had a lot of clean pockets, Baldy.
Well, I think Leonard Floyd was invisible. I mean, he really wasn't any kind of a factor.
Yeah.
They paid Javon Hargrave a boatload of money. He was the first free agent signed 2 years ago. He's not getting the push inside that he once did in Philadelphia, that's for sure, or in Pittsburgh. He doesn't look like the same player to me right now. Malik Collins is he does a lot of dirty work in there, but they're getting nothing from the backup pass rush. Yatur Groves, Matos, like he's not a factor right now. Jordan Elliott's not a factor. They're not getting anything. I mean, Nick's playing a lot of snaps right now. He had a good game. Darisol's a hell of a player. He beat Darisol, like he beat him a couple of times. And the week before, Darisol pitched a no-hitter. He's a good player, and I thought Nick got after him. He's playing a lot of snaps right now, and because he has to.
Yeah.
There's just a big drop-off right now.
What did you think about Bosa being dropped in coverage real quick? Because I saw you break down the video. I want you to explain it to our audience because I was a little confused. I was like, 97 dropping back in the flat. What's going on? I want him going to get the quarterback.
Well, they were trying to mix up. I saw him in a bear front. Like, Nick doesn't belong in the bear front. Like, he got rolled up. I was like holding my breath that, guys were diving in the back of his legs. He's limping off the field. Fortunately, he was okay. But, Nick's bringing some different fronts, some different ideas than what they've seen. Nick's not the guy. If you want to drop somebody, drop Floyd. You shouldn't be dropping Nick, though. Like, get him in a position where he's the rusher and just let him go forward. He does his best work going forward. He tackled the catch right there. He's in the flat, but that's not where he belongs. He said he was going to do that some this year. It only happened once in a game. I don't know. I feel like every time Nick rushes, he can affect the play.
It's like asking Aaron Judge to bunt. You know what I mean? It's just not. It's not what you're looking to do. You know what I mean, Baldy? You know. So
analogy.
Yeah. I'm watching last night's game, and I think this applies to the fourth quarter. And look, I think that the Niners were going to probably lose this game a variety of ways. Thank gosh that Fred Warner played the way that he did. But there's 10 minutes to go. They score a touchdown. Now, I listen to Belichick. I listen to Brady. I listen to some of these thinkers, these minds that have maniacally obsessed about situational football. And there's times to go for two. And I thought that they should have went for two because if you kick the extra point, and then the other team scores a field goal, right? You're still multiple scores down. You go for two, you get it, and now you're only 8 points down. So they don't do that. All right, they end up kicking the extra point. Obviously, can't get a stop on that final drive from Minnesota, and then they end up kicking a field goal and don't leave a lot of time. The sense of urgency from the 49er offense and then taking the ball and throwing into the middle of the field and allowing the clock, who's your enemy at that point, to just tick away and not take a field goal and give yourself a chance to try to get the ball back. I don't know, the whole clock management, situational football from the head coach. I didn't think they were going to win the game, but it was like, man, we're 8 years in. Does he understand the schematics of the numbers, right? And I don't know, am I obsessing about it a little too much? Because I was befuddled at the way that they were operating in the fourth quarter.
Well, you know, I mean, the touchdown was a very time-consuming drive. It was 12 plays. You know, that's, you know, I feel like you've got to pay attention to the clock closer. You've got to give yourself more time at the end of the game, anticipating you're going to score. But I do believe that it's never a bad time when you're down by 2 scores to, like, just put the no huddle, just start speeding things up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just can't go at the same pace anymore. And by the way, that affects the defense too. They can't quite get in the personnel looks that they want. They can't quite make the type of changes and checks that they want to do when you sort of eliminate that by just the urgency that you play with. It affects the defense as much as it might get you into that rhythm that you're talking about, Joe.
Yeah, that's spot on right there. The defense can't sub. They can't, like you said, Baldy, they can't check. They can't sub. You can't bring in new personnel. So what you think last night? Sirianni lets you go for it. What was it, early second quarter? 4th and 4 from the 9-yard line. They don't get it. Okay, fine. You want to go for it. But then at the end of the game, you throw the pass to Saquon. He's got to catch the ball 3rd and 3. But I'm thinking, Baldy, as I'm watching, I said, okay, the Eagles are just going to go for it and try to ice the game right there. What did you think about that 2-play sequence? Passing the football, Atlanta has no timeouts, and then you elect to kick the field goal when, if the Atlanta scores, it's going to prevent you from winning the game. What was your mindset there as you watched it?
Look, I didn't have any problem 4th and 4 early in the game. I mean, I probably would just take the points.
Right.
I mean, there's a guy down there in L.A. right now, Jim Harbaugh. I mean, he just comes from a Bo Schembechler school. Like, you're going to win. You just don't want to lose games. Like, he believes in punting, field goals, field position. Like, it's not going to change. Like, you experienced Harbaugh in San Francisco. Yep. You know exactly how he's going to play. It's never going to change. But you're also not going to beat yourself. For Nick Sirianni on 3rd and 3 from the 10. Now, they scored basically to Saquon the same play earlier in the fourth quarter from the 5-yard line. Same play. It's a good play. But if anything happens, the ball's tipped, bad snap, errant throw, whatever it is, the guy trips and falls on the route, you're throwing an incompletion, you stop. The clock is the enemy of the Falcons. If you run it on 3rd and 3 at the 10 with 1:46 seconds to go, the Falcons are going to get the ball back, presumably if you kick the field goal, to go up 6. They're going to get the ball back with less than a minute. So, like, for example, they started that drive to go 6 plays, 70 yards, when the drive started at Kyle Pitts. All right, it's a first down, but the clock's ticking, okay? Maybe with 55 seconds to go, you don't throw a drive starter in the middle of the field to Kyle Pitts. And then the next throw to Darnell Mooney, I don't understand it. Like, he's got a huge window. It doesn't go out of bounds. Like, he keeps it in bounds right there, and the clock is ticking. If you make either one of those mistakes with 55 seconds to go, you never get it to the 7-yard line where you have a chance to win it. Like, the clock is the enemy. I just don't understand. I understand Saquon feels bad. He dropped the ball. Okay. But that happens. Like, incomplete. You don't even think about the drop. You're just saying incompletion stops the clock. 1:42 left. Like, you can't give the Falcons basically a free timeout and the ball. And that's what they did.
Absolutely. And momentum. And then instead of getting it at the 20 or the 25, you get it at the 30. So one pass and boom, you're at the 45. Yeah. You're ready to roll. Yeah. So I don't know. Look, let's go back to the Niner game, though, because I do think there were some positives. I do. And I'm not trying to be, glass half full guy. It's just the reality is I think Mason's a player. I mean, he had some runs in this game. There's some jump cuts. And there was one where he jumped through a linebacker, kept on his feet, batter rammed somebody. They've got a player in Jordan Mason. Now, I don't know how sustainable it is, and you would have a better feel for that, but I think that this guy is a load, and I'm really excited to see what the future holds for him this year, especially with CMC looking like he's going to be out for quite a while.
Well, look, he's got 48 rushes in 2 games. He's averaging over 5 yards a carry, Joe. Like, that's a pretty good sample. You know, I mean, it's the same runs that Christian McCaffrey runs. He's averaging 5, all right? And he's a punishing runner. You can see him finish these runs. He's got real, legitimate power. He never gets knocked backwards. Never. So, I mean, I might go through it today just for fun and watch all of his runs and see if anybody's knocked him backwards. I haven't seen him. That guy finishes his runs. He runs behind his pads, and he's got real power. And he's got quick feet. Like, he makes people miss as he's going forward. So I believe you're right. I believe they got a legitimate big-time player. I don't know what the status. I hear all the reports about McCaffrey. You got to get him healthy. I thought that he would have some problems this year after last year. But regardless, right now, they've got them. That's the least of their worries on this football team is Jordan Mason.
Yeah, I agree. And they do have weaponry. Now, Deebo's going to be out, and they have Aiyuk, and obviously he's getting himself up to speed. And I feel like Kittle, through 2 games, Kittle still looks like vintage Kittle. What does the offense look like for them moving forward for the next couple of weeks with no Christian McCaffrey and no Deebo Samuel? Can they still move the ball effectively with Mason, Kittle, Jennings, Aiyuk?
Yeah, they can. You're going to see now, because Deebo's out, you'll see the rookie Garendo. And Isaac Garendo, if you watch him in his final game, Louisville USC, he was terrific. He's got 4.3 plus speed at 220 pounds. Now, he's got to take care of the ball. He's got to pass protect. There's a lot of things he's got to be able to do. And I'm not sure about some of those things. But he's got legitimate speed. I think, what do you have? Just the 1 carry the other day. Like, he's going to have to step up because those were Deebo's carries. So there's still going to be a run-first team and setting up their offense. So we're going to see more Garendo. We got to see more of Aiyuk, period. Like, Aiyuk's got to be featured. All right? So he's going to get a lot more targets than what he's got, and hope he's in good shape. And he's up to speed right now. But, he's going to have to pick it up. Jennings is quality. He just knows how to get open. He's not a burner or anything like that, but he's got size. He knows how to get open. So you're going to have to lean on those guys right now.
How does Aiyuk look to you in the first couple of weeks? I know we discussed it last week against the Jets' first game. No camp, really. But how did he look last week running routes? Did he look spry? Did he look elusive? Did he look physical? What did you see from number 11 last week against Minnesota, Baldy?
It doesn't look like he's Brandon Aiyuk at his very best right now to me. And the timing doesn't look to be quite perfect the way you want it to be. I think all of this is kind of playing himself into shape, playing himself back into the rhythm. Every offense has a rhythm, and getting back into that rhythm of just, crisp in cuts, turning guys around on his double moves. I mean, it does take a little bit of time. These first 2 games are his training camp right now.
Yeah.
And so I think this is to be expected a little bit, that the rhythm and his ability to turn safeties around with his just sudden moves, his route running. I just don't know that you just come off a 7 months of inactivity and just get right back to it.
Yeah, it's a good point. Vontae's talked about this. You kind of briefly referenced it. When I was watching Patrick Willis, I felt like I was watching a generational player, a special player. Like he was born to play ball in that era of football, and he was like a prototype Terminator, if you will, And when I watch Fred Warner right now, I think he's the equivalent for this particular era. He is the perfect player. This guy just makes plays. That interception was so difficult, and I don't even know how. Then he punched that ball out on Aaron Jones, knocked him out of the game. We are watching one of the greatest 49ers ever, and I don't think that that's an overstatement. Baldy, you watch film, you watch all these middle linebackers. How special, how unique is Fred Warner and what you see on film week in, week out?
This is Fred Warner's 7th season. I don't know that there – and by the way, his first game as a 49er
was in Minnesota.
Was in that same building.
Yep.
Was in Minnesota. Yep. I'll never forget talking to John Lynch on the sideline. And I'm like, so who's he all he did was rave about Fred Warner. He's played every single game since that first game in 2018. Started every single game. When you talk about the level of consistency, and I said this last week breaking them down, there isn't a more consistent player at any position in this league. When you rate the top 100 players, for whatever that's worth, it's just, television. But, there's not a more consistent player that plays at a higher level than Fred Warner. And already the splash plays that he's made this season, he's just filling up a stat sheet. And the numbers just keep adding up to the point where, I don't want to compare him to anybody, to Ray Lewis or anybody that's ever played a position. But he's one of the top 10 greatest players in this league. And right now he might be in the top 5.
Wow.
The way that he's playing. Cashman had a great game the other day for Minnesota. But there is no other Fred Warner in this league. There was a time, you could say Roquan Smith or you could say Bobby Wagner. There's guys, but it's beyond the middle linebacker position. Go find me a corner. Go find me a quarterback. Go find me a left tackle. Go find me anybody that plays the game at the highest level, at this most consistent level. There's nobody in this league right now at any position that plays at a higher or more consistent level than Fred.
Wow, those are great words there about Fred Warner. It's hard to disagree with you, Baldy. We get to see it every single week, and it's just eye-popping the plays that he's making, and he's not slowing down whatsoever.
But, I know, Joe, you're at every game. Honestly, when I watch the 49ers, whether it's on TV, I'll be out there for the Kansas City game, or if I'm in the film room, I actually start every play with watching Fred. My eyes go right to him. It's a magnet. He's just a magnet because you know that there's a chance. He could be Barry Bonds or Aaron Judge on any given play. It could just go right into the bay. Just the ball could just end up in a bay on any given play. And that's Fred. You have to watch that first, and then you go back and you watch the rest.
The plays that get lost for me, the splash plays are huge. The punch outs, he's just got a knack for it. Aaron Jones on the sideline, and it's him and him, one-on-one, and Aaron Jones is trying to juke him, and he just stays completely still, looking at the hips, and just bang, just brings him down. It's just one-on-one, mano-a-mano. I love the guy. He's just such a stud.
The play the week before against the Jets, though, how his ability to see just the minutia of detail. For example, on the forced fumble against Breece Hall, Fred never goes to attack a ball carrier with a balled up fist. Okay, he goes to tackle and wrap guys up and just steamroll anybody in front of him. But he actually put his hand in and balled it up in a fist because he saw Breece Hall carrying the ball in his inside arm. His instinct just said, "This is a pop. This is a pop out right here," and the ability to see that in real time at that speed is his eyes are probably his greatest asset because you there's an old saying at linebacker, you're slow until you know, but Fred's eyes, it's never slow. He sees the whole thing unfold in real time at full speed.
Yeah, I asked him after the Monday night game, I go, what do you like more? Setting the tone against Najee Harris and depleting him in Pittsburgh, or what you did tonight? He laughed and chuckled, but he goes, I got to have that ball. I got to have that ball. And I'm like, damn. I'm like, he was like the Pittsburgh hit's pretty good, but I got to have that ball. I was like, this guy's a stud. And he's such a nice guy. He's great for the community as well. Real quick. He's unbelievable. But real quick, offensive line play. We haven't talked about the offensive line. Trent looked like he struggled from our naked eye. How did Pooney play? How did the unit play, Baldy, against Minnesota?
I tell you, that kid, Pat Jones from Pittsburgh, I know that kid. I've trained with him in the offseason. We trained with this guy, Pooney Carlson, and he had a couple good rushes against Trent. You don't see that very often. He got him turned around a few times. But Trent's still getting himself back into shape. He's still, on the backside, his run blocking is still second to none in this business. The stuff that he can do and get away with. Only Trent can do it. I just think that the way that they attack, your stunt pickup, your blitz pickup against Flores' odd fronts and how he attacks you, it's difficult. And the quarterback's got to be, sometimes should I run? Should I extend the play? It puts the quarterback in a precarious position sometimes. I thought they ran block just fine. Yeah. Mason was really good. But protection against that front can be really tough.
before we leave, real quick, Baldy, I want to know where you're going to be this weekend and who the most impressive team through the first 2 weeks has been. Is it the Bucks, who you highlighted on this show saying they're the most impressive team I see in the training camp? And you know what? Winning the game in Detroit is pretty damn impressive. Or is it the Saints? Who you got, Baldy? Where are you going to be at this weekend?
I'm going to New Orleans this weekend. General manager called me last night, Mickey Loomis. I'm going on his show here today because I've been raised. Their offense line is really good. This Taliesin Fuaga, he might be the next Trent Williams.
Oh, wow.
Like, the kid is just – he's not the dancing bear that Trent is, but he is as powerful as any run blocker in this league. Doesn't have a bad play to his name in 2 games. The offense, they got home run hitters in Rashid Shaheed and Olavi. Like, Kamara's back. They're really good. But for Tampa to go into Detroit and win that game the way that they did, Tampa, Godwin, Evans, the rookie, McMillan, the run game right now, Baker's decisions, the youth and experience that they have on defense. They won that game without Antoine Winfield Jr. Like, his first team All-Pro safety now. They won that game without one of their best defensive players. That was really, and they kept Detroit, who's got a loaded lineup. They held them to 16 points. Tampa's been really impressive.
No, Superdome, Saints, Eagles. You got Ravens, Cowboys. You got Niners, Rams. You got Texans, Vikings. The NFL, man, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, Baldy, and you are as well.
Well, look, last week, Bonte, I'm in Kansas City, Cincinnati, and I was texting the defense coordinator after the game. Like, that was just a gut punch. It was 4th and 16.
I know.
4th and 16. They're up 2. Like, the game's over.
Did you like that call?
They got a defensive pass interference call. I mean, it was legit. He goes over the back to me. Kid panicked, but he's a rookie.
Yeah.
That game came down to literally, with no time left on the clock, Butker nails a 53-yarder. Like that was the game. There were so many close, tight games. Like, the type of games, honestly, you don't even want to get up and go to the fridge.
No.
Like, you might miss something. Like, it was just that entertaining. 1 o'clock games, 4 o'clock games, throughout the entire day. It was like that.
No, it's been unbelievable through the first 2 weeks. And week 3 sets up to be a monster week. Baldy, you're the best, man. We say it every week, but we really mean it. We'll talk to you next week after you come from the Superdome. Thanks, Baldy.
Yeah. Thanks, Joe.
The best.
I can't wait to talk to you guys next week.
Absolutely. Baldy. Talking to Mickey Loomis later. He's going to be in the Superdome watching the Eagles fly.